The Tet Offensive perfectly sums up why the combat in Vietnam was so difficult. The offensive itself served as a major turning point in the Vietnam War. It differed from previous battles because it hadn't just been guerrilla warfare in the jungles of Vietnam, but it also targeted some of the larger cities, resulting in the increase in combat and bombing of many civilian homes. Due to this, there were more civilian casualties than ever before. The Tet Offensive was brutal for the South Vietnamese soldiers and the Americans because it was a surprise attack. Although the Americans had caught wind that something may have been planned, they had no idea how large the scale of the attack was going to be. The Viet Cong worked together to target over 100 cities and towns in South Vietnam all at once. The VC knew that if they made such a large offensive, they might be able to encourage the Americans to withdraw some of their support and troops in South Vietnam, which would be a big help to the northern Vietnamese. They also hoped it would help inspire South Vietnamese people to rebel against the Americans and the South Vietnamese government.
The offensive consisted of 3 waves and lasted in total from January 30th to September 23rd in 1968. It had been the largest operation of the war so far. The shock of the initial force of the attack caused the U.S. and South Vietnamese to temporarily lose control of a couple of the cities. Our forces were able to regroup pretty quickly and launch counterattacks. We regained control of the cities that we had lost, and we were able to cause a lot of damage to the North Vietnamese Army and the Viet Cong as we depleted the amount of supplies and troops that they had. The South Vietnamese were able to push back the Northern Vietnamese forces with the support of the U.S. Though this had been a win for the U.S. and the South Vietnamese against the Communist forces, the North Vietnamese had accomplished their goal of beginning the withdrawal of the American troops from Vietnam as the American public began to lose support of the war.
Throughout the Tet, images, videos, and reports were played consistently on the radios, TVs, and in newspapers. The public was shocked to realize how far we actually were from winning the war and how violent it was as images of the bombed cities and fallen soldiers were shown over and over. This caused the public to start protesting the war and campaign to pull our troops out of Vietnam.